In this video on Buddhist teachings, we will reveal 8 types of people we should avoid helping at all costs. 2 of them might especially surprise you. However, before diving into the topic, listen to a story that will greatly help you understand the lesson contained in this video. A long time ago, in a small Japanese village, there lived a farmer named Hiroshi, known for his kindness and willingness to help others. One day, Hiroshi found a snake trapped in a snare in his barn. Despite the snake being potentially dangerous, Hiroshi felt compassion and decided to free it, guided by Buddhist teachings about compassion towards all beings. Hiroshi cared for the snake, fed it, and provided a safe place for it to recover. However, as soon as the snake felt better, it bit Hiroshi and escaped. Hiroshi, hurt and surprised, lamented that the animal treated him this way. He then remembered Buddha's words saying, "The nature of all beings is as it is. It cannot be changed, only understood." He understood that the nature of the snake is such that it will bite regardless of how much help it has received. This story, like many other Buddhist stories, teaches us that some people, like that snake, do not change their nature no matter what. It reminds us of Buddha's words, "Just as the lotus is pure in water, good and evil dwell in the heart of man." Sometimes, in our desire to help, we might ignore certain important signs, leading us to be hurt by others. It is important to know whom we help and understand that not everyone will appreciate our efforts. Imagine your energy is like a battery. Some people recharge it, while others drain it faster than a phone with 1,000 apps open simultaneously. Sound familiar? Each of us has encountered both types of people in our lives. Let's take a look at these energy vampires and why it's crucial to recognize them. Before continuing, if you find value in these videos, please give us a like, subscribe, and click the bell to stay updated with our upcoming videos. Let's begin. Number 1, the envious. Imagine you just won the lottery. Who would you tell first? Before you start making a mental list of all those people, let me share an interesting fact. According to a study conducted by Harvard University in the United States, 70% of lottery winners experience a deterioration in their personal relationships after their victory. The main reason for this is envy. However, you don't need to win millions to experience the destructive effects of envy. From job promotions to a new relationship that makes you happy, the envious are always lurking, ready to shoot their poisonous arrows of disapproval and resentment. Psychologist Sarah Prasai, in her book The Philosophy of Envy, suggests that envy arises when we perceive a gap between what we have and what we believe we deserve. It's as if we have an internal cosmic justice meter that goes crazy when someone else gets something we think should be ours. But here's something interesting. Envy isn't necessarily bad. In fact, it can be a powerful motivator. As the famous inventor Thomas Edison said, to invent something, you need a good imagination and a pile of junk. Substitute bad envy and you have the recipe for success or disaster, depending on how you handle it. The key is how we react to envy, both our own and others. Here's one of the most counterintuitive but effective tips. Keep your successes and plans secret. Yes, you heard that right. In an era where it seems that if you don't share something on social media, it didn't happen, I suggest you do the exact opposite. Why do I say this? As the great spiritual master Buddha said, silence is the most powerful answer to many questions. When you share your plans prematurely, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical released when you actually achieve your goal. This can lead to a false sense of satisfaction, diminishing the motivation to continue. A study published in one of the most popular American journals showed that people who kept their goals secret were 67% more likely to achieve them than those who shared them widely. It's as if the universe has a twisted sense of humor. The more you talk about your dreams, the less likely they are to come true. When you share your plans, you're not only dealing with your own psychology, but also with the psychology of other people. And this is where our envious friends come into play. As American writer and playwright Gore Vidal said, "Whenever a friend succeeds, a little something in me dies." Multiply this by each person you tell your plans to, and you'll get an idea of the amount of negative energy you have to deal with. In Zen Buddhism, it is taught that every step on our path is an opportunity for learning. As Buddha said, there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. In our relationships with others, especially with the envious, we should be like water, flexible but strong. Water may seem soft, but it has the power to carve rock. Similarly, our behavior can influence others, even if our actions seem subtle. Envy can be transformed if approached with wisdom and compassion. In the end, as Zen master Shunryu Suzuki said, all things are empty, but the city is full of all things. You can attract attention without even realizing it. So what should we do? Should we become hermits and keep all our achievements to ourselves? Not exactly. The key in this case is selectivity. As the author of Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, said, "Keep your dreams away from negative people because negative people will only discourage you from pursuing yours. Treat your dreams and plans like a secret recipe. You wouldn't give it to just anyone, right? You would only give it to those you trust completely, those who will not only not betray you, but will help you improve it." In the spirit of Zen, when you decide to share your plans or successes, do so in a way that inspires rather than provokes envy. Instead of saying, "I just got an amazing promotion," try saying, "I'm excited about this new challenge at work." The difference may seem subtle, but the impact on how others perceive your message can be enormous. Ancient Chinese philosopher and creator of Taoism, Laozi, reminds us that words have the power to create reality. Choose your words wisely. So how do we recognize our envious friends? Here are some warning signs that can make this task easier. The reluctant flatterer. Their compliments are more forced than a smile at a meeting with the in-laws. The professional minimizer. No matter how great your achievement, to them, it's always a matter of luck or something insignificant. The compulsive competitor. Your success is just an excuse for them to tell you how they did it better, faster, or cheaper. The hidden saboteur. Publicly they cheer you on, but privately they do everything they can to ruin your plans. The information collector. They always want to know more details, not out of genuine interest, but to find faults or copy you. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to protecting yourself. The second is developing what I call a bamboo mind. Do you know what makes bamboo grow strong and resilient? It transforms difficulties and adversities into strength and flexibility. As Zen philosophy says, every obstacle is an opportunity to practice. Similarly, you can use the envy of others as motivation to keep growing and improving. Remember, your worth doesn't decrease because of others' achievements, nor does it increase because of their failures. As former US President Theodore Roosevelt said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." Focus on your own path, your own goals, and your own development. Zen Buddhism teaches that the path to enlightenment is unique, and each person must walk it themselves. As Zen Master Shunryu Suzuki said, each of us must cross our own ocean by ourselves. Envy often reflects others' insecurities. The next time you sense an envious gaze, smile, not because you enjoy someone else's discomfort, but because you've discovered a sign that you're on the right track. In the spirit of Zen, smile with compassion, understanding that others' envy is an expression of their own suffering. In summary, being selective about whom you share your successes and plans with is not a matter of selfishness or arrogance, but of protecting your energy, maintaining your motivation, and shielding yourself from toxic envy. The next time you have big news or an emotional plan, take a deep breath, smile to yourself, and treat it like your most precious treasure. Decide to share it only with those who will genuinely rejoice in your success. Remember, the greatest success is the one that others notice by themselves and doesn't need to be announced to the world. Let your achievements speak for themselves. In the end, actions always speak louder than words and definitely attract less envy. Number 2, the manipulators. This group presents a special challenge because such people are true artists in the art of manipulating others' goodwill. They use sincere attempts to help to satisfy their own interests without the slightest intention of reciprocity or showing real improvement. Imagine you are playing chess, but your opponent has the secret ability to move your pieces without your knowledge. This is the strategy of an experienced manipulator. Don't worry if you just realize that there may be someone like this in your environment. Today we will learn to recognize their tricks and defend ourselves against their cunning. As Zen Master Shunryu Suzuki said, the most important thing is to find a balance between calm and action. When dealing with a manipulator, it is crucial to stay calm and be aware of your actions. Manipulators use our emotions to achieve their own goals. In Zen, we learn that awareness is the key to understanding the true nature of reality. We must be aware of our thoughts and emotions to avoid being dragged into their games. Why do some people seem to have a PhD in manipulation? Psychology has some interesting answers to this question. According to a study conducted by one of the most popular universities in the United States, people with narcissistic and Machiavellian traits are more likely to manipulate others. It's as if they have an internal GPS programmed to find the shortest path to their own interests, regardless of whom they have to step over. I'm not saying you should put on a tinfoil hat and trust no one, but it is important to develop your radar to detect emotional pirates. As famous psychologist and author of the book Influence: The Psychology of Persuasion, Robert Cialdini said, "The best defense against manipulation is knowledge and awareness." Think of your emotional well-being as a fortress you must protect at all costs. Manipulators are like invaders trying to penetrate your defenses. If you don't have a good security system, before you know it, they'll be sitting in your living room eating your snacks and controlling your life with the remote. How to recognize a manipulator? Here are some warning signs. The emotional chameleon. They change their personality faster than a teenager changes moods. Their behavior varies depending on who they're with, adapting to what they think that person wants to see. As Zen Master Doan said, "Each moment is invaluable, don't waste it on superficial games." The gaslighting expert. They make you doubt your own perception of reality. Are you sure it happened that way? I think your memory is failing you. You should take something to improve your memory. These are just a few examples of what they say. In Zen, we learn that reality is subjective, but the truth always resides within us. We must trust our intuition and not let others distort it. Be aware, pause, and reflect carefully to ensure you are not dealing with this type of person when you encounter similar statements. 3. The low self-esteem sniper. These people often make comments that seem innocent but undermine your confidence. For example, they might say, "Are you really going to wear that?" Well, if you feel comfortable in it. The goal of people who make these types of comments is to divert attention from their own deficiencies and shortcomings. With this type of person, cut the conversation short immediately and set clear boundaries. React right away. Otherwise, each additional comment from that person will affect you even more. Remember your inner value and don't give others the chance to question it without basis. From the Zen perspective, it is important to develop inner strength and tranquility. As Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Without inner peace, it is impossible to find outer peace." If we are not calm within ourselves, manipulators can easily disturb our balance. This is why meditation and the practice of mindfulness are key to dealing with manipulation. Through meditation, we can learn to observe our thoughts and emotions without attachment, allowing us to react more consciously and controlled. 4. The ungrateful. Have you ever met someone who seems to have a black hole instead of a heart? Those people who, no matter how much you give them, always want more and are never satisfied. Imagine you are at a restaurant enjoying a delicious dinner with friends, when suddenly you hear someone loudly complaining about the food, the service, and even the colour of the napkins. Yes, you guessed it, a professional ingrate in action. In Buddhist wisdom, there is a saying, "Everything is in the mind." What makes some people seem eternally unsatisfied? Psychology has interesting answers to this. According to a study conducted by the University of California, people with low self-esteem tend to be less grateful. It's as if they have a filter that only lets negative things pass through, blocking all the good that life offers. I'm not saying you should cut ties with anyone who forgets to say thank you, but it is important to recognize when someone constantly abuses your kindness. As famous entrepreneur Richard Branson said, "Treat your employees as you want them to treat your best customers." We can extend this advice to all our relationships. Think of gratitude as a plant that needs to be watered and cared for to grow. If you constantly give your time, energy, and resources to a plant that despite this does not flourish or bear fruit, it might be time to consider if you are cultivating the wrong garden. As Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh taught, gratitude is the heart of true Zen practice. When we appreciate the moment and the people in our lives, we transform each moment into a valuable gift. However, be careful not to confuse ingratitude with constructive honesty. Your friend, who tells you that you have spinach between your teeth before an important date, is not ungrateful. They are a hero without a cape. The difference lies in the intention and pattern of behavior. A fascinating study published in an American scientific journal showed that people are not only happier, but also have stronger and more lasting relationships when they practice gratitude in their lives. It is as if gratitude were an invisible glue that holds our social connections together. So what to do with this type of person? The answer is not simple, but we can take some lessons from positive psychology. Martin Seligman, considered the father of this branch of psychology, suggests that cultivating gratitude benefits not only the receiver, but also the giver. Instead of being frustrated with the ungrateful, we can see them as an opportunity to strengthen our own ability to appreciate the good things in life. Just as we physically train our legs or back in the gym, training our gratitude muscle works the same way. However, don't confuse being grateful with being a bottomless pit. Setting healthy boundaries is as important as being generous. As writer Brené Brown said, "Generosity is not infinite, and it is not true if it comes from resentment. Remember, the lack of gratitude says more about them than it does about you." As psychologist Carl Rogers said, "The paradox is that when I accept myself as I am, then I can change." The next time you encounter an ungrateful person, take a deep breath, remember your value, and ask yourself if that person deserves your energy. If the answer is no, it's time to walk away. You are not selfish. You are practicing self-care. By taking care of yourself first, you can better take care of others. If you decide to continue helping, do so because you genuinely want to, not because you expect recognition. Before moving on to the fourth type of person, share this video with your loved ones and with everyone you think should see it. Also, write in the comments, "Every day I become wiser," to show me that you are still here with me and to inspire others in shared learning. Number 4, lazy people. Have you ever encountered someone who seems to have an allergy to effort? These are the people who always have an excuse for doing nothing, as if the couch were their natural habitat and the remote control an extension of their hand. Welcome to the fascinating world of the lazy, masters of the art of doing nothing, who teach us valuable lessons about productivity, or perhaps about its lack. Imagine you're in a work meeting and you hear someone say, "I couldn't finish the report because my cat ate my motivation." Yes, you guessed it. It's a professional slacker in action. What makes some people seem to have a PhD in procrastination? Science has interesting answers. According to a study conducted by a major US university, laziness might be a strategy to save energy. It's as if our caveman ancestors passed down a gene for energy-saving mode, but in today's world, where we don't need to conserve energy to escape predators, this strategy can become unproductive. As one of the great psychologists of the 20th century, William James, said, "Nothing is so fatiguing as the eternal hanging on of an uncompleted task." In Zen Buddhism, there is the teaching about mindfulness and being fully present in the current moment. As Zen master Shunryu Suzuki used to say, "The beginner's mind has many possibilities, while the expert's mind has few." Laziness is often a way of avoiding presence and full engagement. When we believe we already know everything about a subject, we often stop dedicating the same energy and attention we gave at the beginning. That's why in Zen practice we are encouraged to fully commit to each action, no matter how small. This reminds me of the story of a Zen monk who carefully and diligently swept the path around the monastery every day. When asked why he gave such importance to a mundane task, he replied, "When I sweep the path, I also sweep my mind, leaving it clear and clean." So instead of supporting others' laziness, we can encourage them to fully commit to their actions, teaching them that each moment and each task is a valuable opportunity for practice and growth. Recognizing and avoiding supporting those who avoid effort is an act of compassion toward oneself and others. As Buddha said, "You will not be punished for your anger, you will be punished by your anger." The same goes for laziness. Avoiding effort and responsibility leads to suffering and stagnation for both the lazy person and those who try to support them. How to identify a chronically lazy person? Here are some warning signs. Type 1, the king of excuses. These people have more excuses than a cat has lives. "I couldn't go to the training because my plant needed me to sing to it so it would grow." In Buddhism, excuses are like illusions that separate us from true understanding. As Zen master Shunryu Suzuki said, "The most important thing is to know that you have the nature of a Buddha, and that means nothing limits you." Type 2, the expert in "I'll do it tomorrow." For them, tomorrow is a magical place where all pending work accumulates. For greater clarity, that tomorrow never comes. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh says, "The future depends on the present. If we take good care of the present moment, the future will take care of itself." Type 3, the lazy multitasker. These people can be watching series, checking Facebook, and complaining about their work simultaneously. If they invested that energy in being productive, they would probably solve the problem of global warming. In Zen teachings, the unity between mind and action is key. As the Zen saying goes, "When you walk, walk. When you eat, eat." Type 4, the shortcut seeker. Always looking for the easiest way to do things. If there were an app that breathed for them, they would be the first to download it. In Buddhism, seeking shortcuts is seeking illusion. As Zen master Dogen taught, the way is perfect and all-pervasive. As soon as you stop seeking, you realize you are where you need to be. Type 5, the procrastinator. For these people, the alarm clock is just a friendly suggestion. 5 more minutes, they say, and before they know it, an hour has passed. In Buddhist philosophy, the clock symbolizes that time is just an illusion, but our responsibility with each moment is a reality. I'm not saying you should break ties with everyone who prefers a nap to a gym session, But remember that surrounding yourself with lazy people can lead you to become as lazy as they are. As writer and motivational speaker Tony Robbins said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Choose your company wisely, or you might end up being the only healthy tooth in a mouthful of cavities." In summary, in our desire to help others, we must be mindful of whom we offer our energy. It's not about denying help to everyone, but about helping with wisdom and discernment, ensuring that our efforts are truly valuable and benefit both ourselves and those we help. Number 5, the irresponsible. Have you ever met someone who seems to live in a world without consequences? Welcome to the fascinating universe of the irresponsible, experts in avoiding commitments and blaming everyone and everything except themselves. Imagine you're on a boat, and suddenly you see a hole in the hull through which water starts to enter. While you and the rest of the crew desperately strive to plug the hole and bail out the water, you see someone leisurely sunbathing on the deck saying, "It's not my problem, I didn't make the hole." That, my friend, is irresponsibility in its natural habitat. When we try to help someone with this behavior pattern, we often fall into a cycle of frustration and anxiety. No matter how much we try to support them, our help rarely leads to significant progress. The irresponsible, as their name indicates, avoid responsibility and have an almost Olympic capacity to blame others for their failures. If something goes wrong, even if it is completely disconnected from our actions, we can be pointed out as the guilty party. This is not only unfair, but can also have significant emotional and reputational impacts on those who try to help these people. Therefore, it is important to adopt a cautious approach when dealing with this type of person. An effective strategy is to invite such a person to reflect on their actions and the consequences they entail. Instead of solving their problems for them, we can direct their attention to developing self-evaluation and self-management skills. A well-known American neuroscientist, Richard Davidson, has demonstrated that the brain is extremely plastic and capable of changing and adapting even in adulthood. So, there is hope, although these people often need a slight push, or even a push the size of an elephant. As Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. In this context, education encompasses not only academic knowledge, but also the ability to take responsibility and learn from mistakes. Ultimately, dealing with irresponsible people is an exercise in patience and self-control. As philosopher Bertrand Russell said, "The trouble with the world is that the stupid are cocksure and the intelligent are full of doubt." In Buddhism, we also often repeat that helping others is the path to enlightenment, but only when it is wise help. So the next time you face a chronically irresponsible person, take a deep breath and remember that at least you have the intelligence to doubt whether you should continue helping them. Number 6, the eternal critic. These individuals have a talent for finding faults in every situation or person, from your choice of clothing to the way you do your work or take care of your home and family. Identifying them can be as simple as listening to their conversations. Their comments are often negative and destructive. If this sounds familiar, you're probably dealing with a chronic critic in your life. Dealing with them can be like navigating an emotional minefield. No matter how good your intentions, they will always find a way to dismantle them with their sharp criticism. What makes them this way? Research suggests that chronic critics often use criticism as a way to establish power, control over others, and even as a way to project their own insecurities. It's as if they have special glasses that only allow them to see faults in everything. To counteract their negative influence, it's essential to maintain a balanced perspective. As Zen master Tyson Deshimaru said, "The true strength lies in a calm mind." Don't take their criticism personally. Often their words say more about them than about you. Try to redirect the conversation towards positive aspects or constructive solutions. Sometimes a simple change of topic can be the best defense against their verbal attacks. Remember that constructive criticism can be helpful for personal development, but chronic criticism merely erodes self-esteem and undermines confidence. Establish clear boundaries and maintain a positive attitude to protect yourself from their negative influence while promoting a more positive and constructive environment around you. Number 7, the narcissist. Have you ever met someone who seems to have a mirror instead of a soul? Welcome to the fascinating world of narcissists, beings in whom self-love occupies all the top spots on the podium. Imagine trying to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool with a single glass of water. That's how futile it can be to satisfy a narcissist's ego. Don't worry, you're definitely not alone on this journey. According to studies conducted by a renowned US university, approximately 6% of the population, exhibit significant narcissistic traits. This means you've probably met at least one or two such people in your life. How to identify these self-worshippers? If you've ever encountered someone who believes the sun rises solely to shine on their face, you're likely dealing with a narcissist. These people have a remarkable ability to turn every conversation into a monologue about their achievements, no matter how irrelevant they may be. Dealing with a narcissist can be more exhausting than trying to teach a cat to bark, but don't lose hope. There are strategies you can apply. It's not about changing the narcissist, but about changing the way you interact with them. An effective tactic is what psychologists call selective validation. It's somewhat like training a dog. You reinforce the positive behaviors the narcissist shows and ignore the negative ones. When the narcissist shows a bit of empathy, which sometimes happens, acknowledge it. However, when they begin to exhibit their classic scenes, don't engage. Remember, you are not obliged to be a captive audience to their one-person show. In Zen, we learn that true happiness comes from accepting who we are. Don't let others impose their expectations and values on you. Be aware of your thoughts, emotions, and actions, and you will find the inner peace that will allow you to better handle manipulation, criticism, and narcissism. A best-selling author in the field of psychology once said that the ego is an insatiable octopus that feeds on your life. A Zen master would say that the ego is like a hungry ghost in samsara, always wanting more and never finding comfort. Don't let narcissism in your life be that octopus or hungry spirit. However, be careful not to confuse healthy confidence with narcissism. As Zen masters say, confidence is like a calm lake reflecting the beauty of the sky, while narcissism is like a stormy ocean that destroys everything in its path. The difference lies in the ability to empathize and the constant need for admiration. A confident person can genuinely enjoy the successes of others, like a monk in a Zen state who rejoices in the awakening of his companions. In contrast, a narcissist perceives those successes as a threat to their own greatness. Dealing with a narcissist can be challenging, but also an opportunity to strengthen your patience and compassion. Observing the narcissist can teach us much about the nature of desires and illusions. Through this observation, we can see the reflection of our own internal barriers and struggles, allowing us to draw conclusions and grow personally. Number 8. The opportunist. Imagine encountering someone who always seems to be lurking, looking for every opportunity to gain something at the expense of others, regardless of the consequences. That is the opportunist, someone who skillfully takes advantage of the generosity or resources of others without offering anything in return except their own comfort. As Zen Master Nath said, happiness is only possible when we stop expecting it to come from the outside and start creating it from within. Opportunists, on the other hand, seek happiness externally, in the resources of other people, without realizing that true happiness can only be found within oneself. However, do not confuse an opportunist with someone who genuinely needs help. The difference lies in the pattern of behavior and reciprocity. As a psychologist from Harvard University recounts, opportunists are experts at making you feel guilty when you do not meet their expectations. In Buddhism, it is said that guilt and shame should be understood and transformed rather than allowed to control our lives. Detecting an opportunist can be tricky, as they often hide their true intentions under the guise of collaboration and mutual well-being. A key sign to identify them is the lack of reciprocity. They always receive help but rarely return the favor or collaborate equally. Dealing with an opportunist requires setting clear boundaries and being aware of your own resources and personal limits. As Zen Master Dogen said, understanding the limits of your power is the beginning of true strength. It is crucial to set clear expectations from the start. Define what you are willing to offer and what you expect in return. Promoting reciprocity is also essential in this case. Encourage the opportunist to contribute equally to the relationship, whether by sharing responsibilities or defining roles and expectations transparently. From a psychological perspective, opportunists reflect combinations of low empathy and high opportunism. As Buddhist Zen master Chogyam Trungpa said, "True compassion is selfless and expects nothing in return." By understanding how to identify and manage opportunists, you can protect your emotional integrity and maintain healthier and fairer relationships. It is true that giving and receiving are fundamental in any healthy relationship, but when you realize that you always give and receive nothing in return, it is time to reconsider the situation. Investing energy and effort in people who undervalue your contribution can be emotionally draining. It is better to direct that energy toward more equitable and satisfying relationships where your actions are recognized and valued. As Japanese Zen master EQ said, life is too short to waste on people who do not see your light. At the end of this video, I have a question for you. I would like you to take a moment to reflect on it before answering. Here it is. What would change in your life if you could easily detect the behaviors presented in this video in the people around you? If you feel it is valuable, share your answer in the comments below this video. You might also inspire others to do the same. If you have reached the end of our journey, write this phrase in the comments. I live my life with full awareness. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated on new videos. And remember, all we have is now. Until the next adventure, my dear friends.